Your grief is valid. Whether you share it out or hold it close to your heart, your grief is valid. In public and in private, your grief is valid. Whether your relationship with them was smooth or turbulent, your grief is valid. Whether you cry, laugh, you're numb, or you're just indifferent, your grief is valid. Whether you cope by leaning into it or avoiding it, your grief is valid. No matter what, your grief is valid. And no one can take that away from you. Welcome to I Know How This Story Ends podcast. I'm your host, Tiwa Adetoye, a creative entrepreneur of fashion and art, an author, speaker, and most recently, a widow and single mom. Many things were said to me after I lost my husband from well meaning people, I suppose, one of which was comparing me to someone else who also lost her husband, that they were handling it better, being out there with people while I was by myself and not appearing to be doing any better. This was, I don't know, a few months, almost a year after. And that got me thinking, that was I not handling my grief well? Should I really be doing better? And sometimes a scripture will also accompany such messages to show why I should grieve better, in quote. While they may have come from a well meaning place, it put a whole new pressure on me and had me thinking and questioning what was wrong with me. It's interesting how we can take scripture out of context, to fit our plans or wherever it is that we are. For example, like Isaiah 57 verse 1, it says, "Good people pass away, the godly often die before their time, but no one seems to care or wonder why. No one seems to understand that God is protecting them from the evil to come." And I like that scripture because it gave me hope about Adesha resting with the Lord. At that point, I just also wanted to rest. I will read that scripture and ask God, what about me? Didn't I also deserve to be protected from the evil to come? I wanted to rest from the wind and grind and dashed hopes and fears and pains of the loss. I would listen for the sound of a trumpet each night I went to bed and when I woke up. I didn't want to check on anyone. I didn't want anyone checking on me. Outside of being with my children, I just wanted to be circled up in a hole, just under a pile of clothes. I didn't understand, you know, why I wasn't, as they said, grieving well or grieving better. I had gone through therapy sessions. I thought I was getting better. The beginning of 2025, things spiraled out again. So I signed up for Grief Share again. That's a Christian based group therapy session. And it was helpful. It reminded me of tools and God's promises that could help me embrace my grief. And it also opened my eyes to see that apparently I had subconsciously subscribed to the expectation of being over my intense grieving after a year. After all, I'm not the first widow in her 30s, and I most likely will be the last. But like a beach ball, no matter how many times we try to submerge underwater, it just found a way to float. Sometimes towards me, sometimes away from me. And so I always needed to prepare for whenever it may surface and swim towards me. I had to make my growth jar bigger so that it never overshadowed the new life and progress that I was making. I needed to learn how to make rainbows around the black spot I carried, so much so it became part of the tapestry that God was weaving in my life. To be honest, I didn't recognize myself, and that in itself scared me. But my one on one therapist helped me see that I was so used to being ambitious and up and about. And right then, I just needed to focus on baby steps. And so that's what I did. I'll share a bit about it just in case that's where you are on your journey, my friend. It just may help you. So I didn't have daily to dos anymore. I had weekly to dos, and it didn't matter on what day of the week I did it. In no particular order, I broke down tasks to be as little as possible. For example, fold laundry. It didn't matter when, it didn't matter how much. It could be two pieces of clothing in one day, and then another five in another day. Then the rest of the week we just wear our clothes straight from the dryer. It's fine. There was a season where my to do for the week was to have a shower, get out of bed and have a shower for that week. And that was a great accomplishment. Another to do for the week was to change the batteries of our bell, put in new batteries, and that was it. The fact that I was accomplishing little, little things in a week. I mean, they called it baby steps, but they felt like baby movements, but it worked. I was doing things again rather than nothing at all or just being overwhelmed. So much so, I saw the effect even in my appetite. I could have a good meal once a day, sometimes twice a day. Other times it was junk food, but at least I ate. My point is, in trying to live up to expectations on my grieving journey, I became worse off. And those were part of the hard truths I had to face in rediscovering who I was, who I was becoming. It meant sharing some relationships that were not feeding my new identity anymore. It meant cutting off relationships because I didn't want to hear those voices. It was hard. It is hard, but it was necessary. And I just want to remind you, my friend, that your grief is valid. Let no one, let no voice tell you otherwise on how you're handling this journey. There is no blueprint anywhere other than you holding on to the love of God and the hope that His Word gives to us. Your grief is valid and you are doing great. This is not where this story ends. But thank you for tuning in today. My website, tiwaadetoye.com/podcast, is a great place to stay connected with me. And please share this episode with anyone, and I mean anyone, who needs a reminder about God's love for us. Until next time, friends, Tiwa is rooting for you.